Credit Suisse will pay up to redeem A1 bond, sends message to the market. London scandal-hit lender Credit Suisse has opted to faucet buyers for a pricier greenback bond with a purpose to repay a $1.5 billion capital-boosting issue, a measure investors say became necessary to keep away from raising problem over its potential to pay debt. Credit Suisse's bond problem raised $1.65 billion at a 9.75% hobby charge, according to an IFR pricing sheet on Friday. A supply familiar with the matter showed the information too. The bond bought this week, like the one it refinances, is a so-called additional Tier 1 trouble, a form of contingent convertible (COCO) bond. Deemed to be the maximum unstable debt banks can trouble, COCOs are designed to be perpetual in nature, even though banks can pay off them after a certain length. It is standard practice for banks to redeem or name AT1 gadgets at the primary opportunity, but past exceptions significantly Deutsche Bank ETR, DBKGN in 2020 suggest Credit Suisse could have performed the same, rather than opting to issue another bond at a better fee. Its new bond will pay 9.75%, appreciably above the 7.125% hobby charge at the preceding high-trigger convertible problem. Some traders stated, however, that selecting not to redeem the bond risked raising worries that the financial institution might be not able to repay debt because it weathers a turbulent period. The position that CS has been in the headlines over the last 12 months or 18 months, they likely couldn't have enough money this to go wrong. Dylan Lancaster, portfolio supervisor at 24 Asset Management, stated, "I think the first decision turned into to do it, and I assume that is a very good one made by using control in phrases of being bondholder friendly. And the second one became having the capacity to do it, to get the ebook for the new deal to refinance the old deal." Lancaster expected that had the original bond no longer been known as, its coupon would have reset at around 8.55%. That means the new deal value Credit Suisse more or less 120 basis factors more than sticking with the vintage one. Devised within the wake of the 2008 monetary disaster, AT1 Securities' goal to reinforce a financial institution's capital buffers and purpose to ensure that buyers, in place of taxpayers, might be on the hook if a financial institution ran into economic problems. But whilst a financial institution can opt not to call the bond, Deutsche Bank's 2020 selection not to redeem its $1.25 billion in AT1 bonds sparked market turmoil. It accompanied a comparable flow in 2019 with the aid of Santander, BME, San. Filippo Alaati, head of financials at Federated Hermes NYSE, FHI, Limited, welcomed the decision to redeem the debt calling, pronouncing, "It allows Credit Suisse credit spreads to be perceived as a good company citizen." Credit Suisse stocks closed 2% better on Friday following the information, whilst rival UBS shares were down. Credit Suisse additionally stated that redeeming the great units helped it to simplify its AT1 capital portfolio. All its AT1 bonds will now be based to be written off should capital fall underneath a sure threshold, rather than being converted into equity, as became case with the bond now being redeemed. Some argue too that borrowing charges are possibly to growth in coming months as valuable banks raise hobby costs. Finally, for the bank battered with the aid of a string of scandals and profit hits, the brand new issuance become an possibility to send a message to the marketplace, one person familiar with the state of affairs advised. That Credit Suisse can raise an AT1 for length, and get buyers shopping for Credit Suisse paper.